Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time on Target morning brief for Investified product precision on a daily basis. Today, we're going to talk about the exciting news that came out overnight about Eli Lilly and their advances towards Alzheimer's. Obviously, Alzheimer's is one of those things that with the brain, we fully still, after all these years, don't really know what is going on, what drives function, all of that stuff regarding the brain. So to be able to tackle a problem, as serious as Alzheimer's is going to be an amazing breakthrough. Now, Eli Lilly has been in the news before for their breakthroughs in the area, and so far their advances have not really panned out. From a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, Biogen, the biotech company called Biogen, came out with advances in Alzheimer's that really kind of took the news cycle by storm. The stock went raging higher, and now you're seeing kind of the reverse. Now that Eli Lilly has some good news, is out with good news. Now you see Eli Lilly up big, you see Biogen down big. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about a little bit about healthcare stocks as well and how challenging it is for them to make money sometimes. But we're all doing this in the face of not only new record highs from yesterday. NASDAQ hit a record high. It's the 16th record high close of 2021. So, the crazy recovery in the second 3/4 of 2020 after the big sell-off, and then now that's continued in 2021. I'm still hanging it out long in most portfolios and trying to stay long while we do this series of new highs. When markets hit new highs, they tend to continue clipping along new highs, and that's what's going on now. The S&P 500 was very close to another new high, and I think it's had like 30 some new highs this year. And we're not even halfway done with the year. So get the question all the time, is the market going higher? I don't have a crystal ball. Neither does anybody else that's talking about it. But for sure, when you get a market that's powering higher and we're getting the earnings results that are coming in that they are, it really is, we're going to go higher until the tax talk or inflation talk kind of gets real. So far, it's more fringe than real. So that's why we really haven't seen that big sell-off yet. If you're catching us on replay, thank you so much for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell. If you want to catch us live, what you don't see is a chat window and a Q&A window for my folks to be able to ask me questions. I'll answer whatever you ask real time, and make sure you get your money's worth. That's $25 a month. Pretty good investment in yourself. With that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back. Here's our lineup card for the day, Thursday, June 24th already, almost halfway through the year. Pretty exciting. I'm going to be we'll be here tomorrow, and then I'm on the road next week for basically a week and a half. So I'll be trying to come up with some fun locations there when I'm in Las Vegas to be able to do the morning brief. Maybe give a few videos out like I did back in Christmas time, if you remember that. All right, here's the disclaimer for today. First of all, make sure you have your Q&A window and your chat window set up correctly. Standard disclaimer for today is a financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything here this morning. Full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, mission objectives: grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. This is absolutely a theme-based trying to grow our money off of advances, working towards, curing, mitigating. I don't think curing is probably even possible, but certainly mitigating or making advances towards delaying Alzheimer's, with biotech, with drugs, to see what we can do to make this happen. Obviously, to recap, Eli Lilly came out with some advances. That's why their stock is moving higher. Biogen just had their news release not too long ago as well about some advances. So, really for society, independent of making money, which, we focus on that in the show, but, independent of that, obviously this is an area that could use some amazing advances, right? Because it's a challenging problem for anyone that's had to be involved with that, not only from the individual, but from the family as well. So hopefully some of these pan out to at least to continue the fight against it, if you will. Now, you do run into some issues with healthcare companies on making money. So if it takes Eli Lilly or Biogen, billions with a B kind of R&D dollars, which we want as a society, right, to be able to come up with medicines to delay, mitigate, solve, wherever they are on the spectrum of medical treatment. We want that to happen, right? And we want them to spend their billions of dollars, right? But then when they come out and say, well, here, this is the pill you take once a month and it's $75,000, guess who freaks out? Everybody freaks out. So what happens at that point? The government steps in and says, no, the max you can charge is this. And, that's the max insurance is going to pay for it. And you go through that completely ridiculous episode, like when you get your bill from going to the hospital and you see, oh, my, checkup was supposed to be like $800, but I'm paying 30 or something like that. You get into that weird way. So why I'm not a big investor in the healthcare space, other than I do like real estate. There's a healthcare REIT out there that I like. And I also like the biotechs, which are the drug, the new drug makers, like generally more Biogen than Eli Lilly, but Eli Lilly does it as well. That there's some upside there, but it's still not the same upside that you can get by investing in tech. It's just not, because it gets killed by the government and the insurance companies. All right, the question today is going to be, what is the settlement period? When you put funds in, it seems like they're immediately available. They are. You're technically, we'll get into more of this later, but whenever you deposit funds, they haven't settled for a couple days. Whenever you make a trade, the money has not settled for a couple days. Now, the custodian is giving you basically a free line of credit in those situations to use funds before they've settled, because they know that you can't withdraw them anyway. But it's not truly settled, meaning can I get it back out of my account? But we'll take a look at that. There is a way to do an immediately, to have a trade immediately settled if you need cash right away, but you need to call me first. I found out that I have to tell the trading desk that first, because once I make the trade, there's nothing I can do. So some pretty interesting stuff with the settlement period. It's not as easy as you would think, right? All right, our flow for today: long, short, open, short, long. We'll do market review, headline review. Again, green, 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 ocean of green, except for maybe in the cryptos. I haven't checked that space this morning. We'll take a look at Lilly and Biogen, and then we'll get set up for the market open. As far as the market open, do have the one long in Lilly. I like that. There's the short in Biogen, which is tough, right? Because it's just such a good company. There's the refresher. Such a good company. And I think this is temporary. So we're not going to short Biogen, even though it meets our criteria to a T, and it may even work, but we're not going to do it. We're going to look over at RAD, which is Rite Aid, and then DQ is a Chinese firm. Both have pretty negative stories to go with them. Rite Aid is even though they are profitable, their earnings, they had a huge miss, a revenue miss, in quarter one that they just reported. So that's why the stock's getting hit. And everybody else is making money. Why is the corner drugstore not making money? That is a good question. So I can see why the stock's selling off there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at TD Ameritrade real quick. Here's what you see is the ThinkPipes platform right there. Get this up to where you can see it. There's the three names. We got the SPY. You can see the market gapping up there. Eli Lilly with the gap up. You can see from overnight, that dashed red line is when the transition between the market open and close. And here you see Rite Aid to the downside. We'll give that a little bit more room there. You can see their earnings release and earnings call. Call didn't help, right? CEO didn't talk a good game during the call, is what that shows. All right. For where we are is the overall market. Excuse me. Almost a new high yesterday. So we got touched in within 1 point, I guess, is what the CNBC was saying this morning, of a new high in the S&P. But anyhow, clipping along those new highs, we could still, I think today we get new highs again because it's such a strong day, but you never know. You really don't. But anyhow, as we get into the end of June, remember there's supposed to be a big sell-off. Like right now, there isn't. There was last week, but not this week. But as you zoom into the 5-day, you can kind of see the action. That's Tesla. Let's go back to the SPY. You can see that in the 5-day, well, it's 4-day now because the smaller screen really has gone straight up this week for 3 days, right? So I expect that to continue higher. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the headlines for the day on CNBC.com. You'll see the green that I'm talking about right here. Let's refresh that. So everything up about 0.5% across the board. You can see S&P poised to retake record. Yep, I see that Apple headline. We will get back to that. You know how I feel. All right, Apple green across the board. Asia, barely green across the board, all basically flat. That's more flat than green. Bonds hanging out below 1.5%. Inflation, where'd you go? Don't come back. It's nice to not talk about you every day. Oil up at 72, so still challenging. It's up out of our range. Gold and silver creeping higher on the inflation news. Excuse me, the anticipation of inflation. And crypto really not moving much compared to how it normally is. All right, let's get back to this Apple headline. Apple analyst says great long-term buying opportunity for the stock. I should have been an Apple analyst. I've been saying that for about 12 years now. But yeah, rallying 20%. It basically, Apple has its doldrums, right, to where the stock doesn't do anything. And guess what? Magically leaked out last week. Yeah, some iPhone 13. It might have been Monday, but either this weekend or Monday, some magically some iPhone 13 stuff started hitting the street. I don't know. Can you say hype? Because it's going to come out here in September, October. So why not get a little teaser out? And of course, everything they make is pretty much awesome. They miss on a few things on occasion, but if they do, they scuttle it quickly and simply focus on their winners. I don't know. Tim Cook probably would have been a pretty good portfolio manager. Don't stick with losers. Let the winners ride. Right. So we have that as far as the Apple headline. I saw they were up 0.5% earlier. Maybe that moves the needle. Maybe it doesn't. I'm not sure who listens to analysts anyway. All right, MGM upgraded to buy. Vegas Strip comeback. You know that my way to play it I like is win. So far since I bought it, I have not done any of said winning. It's kind of basically where I bought it. But I do expect that the first quarter is going to be a blowout number. I expect the stock to jump then, and then we'll make a decision on whether we hold it or not. That's not a buy and hold forever sort of thing. Yeah, the call for employees back to the office, and can you make them be vaccinated or not? Expect more out of that. Yep, Mark Cuban bought a ton of crypto, has lost a bunch of money. He still got a bunch, so I don't know that I care very much. Starlink going to go public. If you haven't heard, remember that's Elon Musk's own star satellite constellation, if you will. Now, if Neuralink goes public, that's going to get a lot of my money. Neuralink is, again, where they tie the brain into the computer directly and be able to, they already have a monkey, a chimpanzee playing video games with its mind alone. So pretty cool advances there. All right, let's take a look real quick at Eli Lilly, since that's our long for the day. You can kind of see how a little bit of the history. So back here down at 130 at the election, bounced up to 200. Kind of came back into 180 and now making its move higher. Big move down yesterday, so it's retracing that. We'll see where it is here in a few seconds. But 217 on this chart, it's probably above 220 right now. So good point to enter. Yeah, I think so. If this Alzheimer thing plays out at all, it's going to print money. It really is. It's going to be a great place to be. But again, they're in a race. So Biogen may do better. You kind of don't know you're taking an educated guess as to where to position your capital in that race. All right, over to TD Ameritrade. 30 seconds to the open. Give me a second and let me get set up. Welcome back, everyone. We have 15 seconds to the market open here on Thursday. Welcome to the on time, on target play of the day. You have 3 screens in front of you on the TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes platform. I'll explain those one by one. They are all 1-minute charts. We have the market off to the left. Here's the opening bell. Nice and loud to wake everybody up. Market is open. There you can see how the futures are in the green and trending higher. Our long for the day is Eli Lilly out with Alzheimer's news. And then our short of the day is this Rite Aid play. It's already down 13%, but I really kind of like that as far as a short today. So that's where I'm going to focus my efforts. Eli Lilly's kind of tough at this 235. Remember, we looked at the last chart was 217. So it's up, 8.5%. It meets our criteria, but I just don't know that it can continue to power another 2, 3, 4% higher that we need to make our trade. As far as Rite Aid, again, you can see, well, I already zoomed out of it. Ooh, this is good. It's backing up here. This is profit taking. So let's get ready for our entry. 1825 is the high of the day. That puts our entry. Nope, it's 1835 now. This is good. Man, it's going to be tough to catch that. Okay, we're going to have to take this at 1810 with a 30-cent stop. So grab it here, 1810. 30-cent stop covering 1840 at the top of the day. So we get that drawn in there. Again, this is a short, less than perfect chart, but that was good how far it spiked up. Again, that short covering, that's what we're looking for. So we can get that nice entry point there. So again, 1810 short, 30 cent is the stop, which is bigger than I wanted, but that's what you get when things flop around like this. 1780 is going to be your 1 hour point. 1750 is going to be your 2 hour point. Get that drawn in there. Then your exit's going to be down at 1720. So let's zoom out if I can do this. I don't think I can. Might be able to manipulate it here to be able to get a little better look at this chart. Here we go. All right, zoom out here a little bit so you can see it hasn't been down at that 1750 level, let alone the 1720. So it's going to be the who's buying this today, but I should be able to get this drawn in here, down at 1720 for the exit. Okay, now we can focus back in. So to recap where we are in the trade, we got in at 1810. It keeps bouncing that 1810. You can still take this if you like it. It's a 30-cent stop, bigger than we wanted. But the forecast here is that it drops down to at least the 1 hour, probably hangs out in the 1 to 2 hour point and then leaks off throughout the day. So I don't think it'll hit the 3 hour drop here while we're talking, but I do think it continues to sell off throughout the day. Okay, so that's our trade. Again, in at 1810. If you take it later here, you're going to have to adjust your math a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at some other names. So you have Lilly still up 8%. Let's look at Biogen, see how hard it sold off. See, here's where it was pre-market. That's at down. We had it at 8% as we were looking at earlier. Now it's only down 5%. So again, even though it met our criteria, very tough, super strong company to try to short into. Our other short out there was DQ, which I'm not familiar with. Chinese firm. Let's see what the name of it is. Oh, I won't even slaughter that, but DAQ. Oh, Daiko? Don't know. New energy company. It's an ADR, obviously, since you see it's a Chinese firm. This is our short. Let's see. U.S. restricted imports of this company over labor concerns. So it was down pretty significantly, but has kind of popped from them. So that would not have worked this morning as well. And what was on fire yesterday? Luckin, you know it. Let's see if Luckin's getting love today. Up a couple pennies. Still hasn't come back up to that 9 level, which I'd be more comfortable if it was above 9 for sure. All right, and then Apple, we talked about, got that analyst call today. Those generally don't move, literally don't move anything. And indeed, it has not moved today, so 0.3% to the upside. It was actually up higher earlier. So, all right. So we're in the trade. We're up in R. We'll check back with that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and see what's going on in the bigger picture with long-term investments. Trade desk up 6.3% today. Boom, been loading up on that after the recent sell-off there and the 10-for-1 stock split. Got Clover Health. Again, that's a meme stock. I'd say stay away. You have CRISPR Therapeutics, Tesla. Tesla's been on fire. You know I'm not a fan of the stock. I'd rather have the car. I don't have the car either, but if I had to have the two, one of the two, I'd rather have the stock. But up a couple percent, so that's really got some life back in it. DraftKings been doing well recently. VIP Shop, again, Chinese retailer. We have not talked about them at all. I don't see Amazon on here. Again, Amazon Day was earlier this week. Days, if you want to be more correct. Generally, that doesn't move the needle. There's people that have tried to trade around Amazon Day, and it just doesn't work, right? Now, what does work is when they release their next quarter, you know, into Q3, when they release their Q2 results, that's when you will see it. We talked about Win up 1%, so is everything else today. So that is not particularly notable, but it's nice to see it in the green. All right, let's check to the red side. Whoa, only about 12, 13, 15 names maybe in the red. Roblox, not worried about them long term at all. American Outdoor off a little bit. Dominion Energy Company, nice big dividend. Don't expect Dominion to rage higher, but it should be able to hold its current price, if you will. Wendy's and a couple of bond funds, and then AT&T pretty close to even. So let's go back. Where's Lilly? I guess I don't have Lilly in the book or Biogen because I don't see either of them at the extremes here. All right, let's check back on our trade. All right, still at that 1 hour point, just kind of hanging out. So we'll have to come back to that. All right, let's go to talk about settlement time. On Investopedia, all right, settlement period is technically what they call it. So refers to the period of time between the trade date and the settlement when it's considered final. So little inside baseball here for you. So a normal trade, you log in, I log in, doesn't matter. You know, the person on Robinhood logs in and they make a trade. Boom. Now your account reflects that trade immediately. But what really has to happen behind the scenes, and I will say that I don't think this is going to be it won't be this way forever. It used to be 3 days, now it's down to 2 days. It's like, are you kidding me? Really? It's kind of like when the bank tells you they need like 3 days. You know, it's like, what? You don't need 3 days. This happens electronically and it happens almost instantly. So literally, why do you need 2 days in this case? But whatever, it's a battle being fought. But yeah, they have to take those, they have to find those shares that you just either bought or sold and reassign those QSIPs, which actually, you know, is the registration on those shares, have to reassign that to the new owner. Okay. It happens electronically. It happens instantly, but there's probably, I don't know, probably an audit process that runs in the background, probably continuously with the volume of trades that we have to validate that all of this is correct. I've never heard of a trade not being recorded correct. So maybe that's why they say, give us 2 days. So, but if you need your money sooner, let's talk about that first, then we'll talk about deposits. If you need your money sooner, say you are, you have a couple of taxable accounts, you just want to zero one out. So you're like, okay, sell everything in there. And then 2 days later, you can get your money. Now, at least with Schwab, I don't know what TD Ameritrade, and I don't particularly care, because most of us are going over to Schwab anyway. I can call into the trade desk and have them execute my trade for me under the condition of immediate settle. So they execute the trade and the funds are immediately available. So if you've ever looked at your balances, why do you have like 9 different numbers showing up when you check your balance, right? Because it shows, you know, funds available to trade. It's like, they're like, heck yeah, we'll make them available to trade, but we won't make them available for withdrawal because they haven't settled. So if you continue to trade in an account, it's hard to take money out because that particular chunk of cash never actually settles until you chill out for a couple days. So you can get your money out sooner. I don't know if you can do it. I can do it for you. I don't know. I've never tried to call in and place a trade as a retail trader. All right. Lastly, excuse me, when you look at the, when you put your money in, so when they see an ACH or a wire in, they being the custodian, so either TD, Ameritrade, or Schwab, will immediately credit your account and they will let you start trading. So say you commit to $5,000 on an ACH in, they see that and you see 5,000 in your account and you go, it's on like Donkey Kong, and you start smashing the keyboard and buying all your favorite stocks that you can get with 5K. And then the bank's like, this guy doesn't have 5K in his account. So the bank brings that ACH back or basically cancels it. And then now you end up, the brokerage will just buy all your stuff back as if it never happened, right? Because the market may have moved up or down a little bit from there. But basically that is, you know, they make it back to zero. They'll keep whatever gains or eat whatever losses because literally it doesn't matter in the big picture. But at that point, since you did that and that happened on your watch, your account's going to be restricted to settled trades only. So therefore, this whole, you know, Joe can handle his credit and his ACHs are as solid as, you know, oak. That sort of thing is now gone, and you have to settle. Which means if you actually, you know, later on decide to sell your Biogen today and turn around and try to buy Lilly, you can't because you got to wait 2 days because you've proven that you can't be trusted as